hello parents of year 1 and 2 children. We thought we would release a recording of our reading workshop in case anyone missed it. But again, if you've got any questions, please do let us know.
So this is just a little page just to let you know about fluency, because your children will be bringing books home and it might be that you're there saying that the book is a little bit too easy, but that is a good thing because number one, they practice obviously their phonics with us at school, and then it should get to the point where they're able to be reading the words by decoding the words accurately. Then it becomes that they should be able to then fluently read the sentence, and then afterwards we can then be thinking about comprehension where we're asking them the questions. So a sentence can be a range of different things. They can be sounding out the words to decode it and then be able to read the whole sentence without actually sounding out any of the words, and that is what fluency is. It's not about being a fast reader or reading really fast, but they also need to be thinking about their expression and how they're reading it, thinking about punctuation as well as they go on.
So what do your children need to read fluently? So we need to make sure that the children are reading their books that are completely matched to their phonics ability. So some children in year 2 and all of the children in year 1, will be taking home books that are linked to their current phonic learning, as well as a book that's on the book band that matches that. They need to be making sure that they're rereading their book. So there's a couple of things that involves. So decoding is the first step, where your child will be probably sounding out, maybe going quite slowly. There might be parts that they don't understand and that they can't read, so they should be really using their phonics at this point. When they come around to rereading their book for the second time, that's when we're thinking about fluency. So at that point, having decoded the words in the book and probably having discussed it with you, that time they should be reading more fluently at a more conversational pace. The third time you read a book will be more about the comprehension. So actually being able to answer questions about it now that they've read the book a couple of times and they actually understand the words, and then they can start answering those questions. So if you have a book that you're taking home, it should be read 3 times up to around book band orange. Once you get to that point, your child probably will be reading much more fluently, so they won't need to read it quite so many times, but certainly up to book band orange.
And for some children in year 1, it might be that you're decoding for a couple of sessions, and then they become slightly more fluent as you go on. So for us, it could be that they're reading the book all week until they become fluent, but it could even be that they're reading the same page to become fluent with that one sentence. So it does depend on your child and what skills they're working on at the moment.
So there's a few things that you can do to help your child. So there's modelling, echo reading, and rereading after sounding out a word. So if we just kind of give you a quick example, so if I wanted to model to a child in my class or a child at home, if I look at that second page there, I can see that there's an exclamation mark. So I can see I would probably read that differently to the rest of the sentences. So I might say, we dip the toast into the egg. Yum. So you can hear that intonation and that expression of reading is really clear for the child. So if we then practice echo reading, so I would read it and then the child would read it and copy it. So I'll do the same bit. We dip the toast into the egg. Yum.
We dip the toast into the egg. Yum.
So you can hear, and if their voice sounds very different to yours, it's fine if that's how they would say it, but it's just about getting them to move away from that robotic style of reading. And then again, rereading after sounding out a word would be a little bit like this.
Cut off the ooh.
Oh, go back and read that again.
Cut off the shell at the top.
And try one more time.
Cut off the shell at the top.
So you can hear how reading that a couple of times, it might be that you read a sentence 5 times, but it will help with the understanding, because each time when you're sounding out a word, you're not necessarily going to understand what that word actually is. So a few things that you can do, again, to help your child with reading. So we've talked about rereading the books. So keeping the same books for the week is important. You can have more than one book so they don't get bored, but it is important to keep rereading for that fluency and comprehension. In year 2, we would like you to encourage your child to change their book. Obviously, we do mention it in school and we do encourage them as well, but it can be the first thing that they do when they come in the morning. So if you know that they need to change their book, if you could just give them a quick reminder, then they can do that themselves.
And year 1, we're handing ours in on a Friday now, where the books will get changed on that day. So it's only going to be on a Friday now.
Sharing books with your child is really important. It doesn't always have to be about them reading. It can be you reading them a bedtime story, and that is just as important. They can hear you reading with expression. They can hear you enjoying a book. They can enjoy it more, especially if reading is something that they find tricky. It doesn't have to be a book even. It can be anything from around. So looking at lyrics while you're reading, listening to a song, listening to an audiobook, subtitles on the television. There's lots of different places, you know, signs when you're at the zoo. It could be anything.
Yeah, even spotting sounds within the lyrics, if that's where your child is. So if they're at the decoding stage, we like putting up songs with lyrics, our Disney songs, and they're very good at spotting sounds or even their rainbow words that they need to practice. And then the last one is obviously you've got your phonics and spelling homework that gets sent out. So that is another way of type of reading. It's just at word level. So that can be part of your reading journey as well for the week.
So if you are reading the book to your child and they can read it fluently, then you can start to ask questions about what's being read. So unfortunately, I can't link you to the other presentation, but there's several characters that we're using at the moment. It's something called Vipers, and each character is based on a different type of comprehension. So you start off with Vocabulary Victor. He will be helping or asking questions about what words mean. So if your child, even if your child is a completely fluent reader, just stopping and asking them, well, what does that word mean, is a good test to see if they are actually understanding what they're reading.
Yeah, or even coming up with, do you know another word for big, for example? So getting them to think about different word choices as well. And all of these are dogs, by the way. So Vocabulary Victor is a dog.
Yeah. So then you've got Rex Retriever. So those are the kind of literal questions. What was that character wearing? What did they say? And yeah, literally just what has happened in the page or a couple of pages that they've just read.
You've got Predicting Pip, who it's all about thinking about what is going to be happening next. Why do you think the characters have said that? What do you think the ending will be like? So reading parts of it and then stopping and predicting and saying what they think is going to happen based on what's already happened or what a character might have said.
There's Inference Iggy, so that's all about character motivation, why someone might have said something, how they might be feeling as long as they haven't told you in the text. So if someone storms into the room, can they use that to make a good inference, a good guess about how that character might be feeling?
And then the last one is Sequencing Zuki, who is very much talking about what's happened at the beginning, the middle and the end. Reading a passage, can they order different things that have happened in the story, or if a character has done something, can they put that in an order? Basically putting it in sequence.
So we'll post a picture of this along with the video so you can see what these characters look like. We're also going to be giving out bookmarks to all of the children that you can have at home with some questions to help you with comprehension at home as well. Oh, sorry, they were there. So here are the characters. Okay, we just wanted to remind you about book bans and ideally where children would be in each year group. This went out recently, but just as a little reminder, we would hope that coming into year 2, children would be starting to read turquoise books. so that when they come into year 2, they would be starting on to move into purple and gold, ready for year 3, so that they have good access to the curriculum. And as you can see, they don't move up too many book bands in year 2, because the focus should then be more on fluency and on comprehension.
Yep, and for year 1, it should be the coming up from year R, they should have been like on a yellow book band. And then, as you can see, we go through to the blue and the green, which is all based on their phonics. And then the orange and the turquoise is then where they're practicing that fluency and the comprehension side of it.
So then finally, here is a link to a video from a government. It's a working at expected standard end of year 2 child. I'll post the link along with this as well on Dojo, so you can have a look and hear the standard that would be expected before your child moves into the junior school.
And thank you very much for listening.